Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the morning routine. Welcome to the morning routine. Season 2. I can hear Jason typing.
I'm stopping.
Episode Season 2, episode 20. I'm here with Jason Gallacher. David, can you please turn off the audio on the YouTube channel that you're playing in the background?
Oh, is that me?
No, that's David. Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David. I'm making sure everyone's here. Are we all here? Can you see me? Hello. Hi. What's up? Here I am on the wall. Hopefully you can see that I'm here on the wall. Jason is at his desk. Jason, why don't you stand up and engage the camera there real quick without getting...
Walking slow.
So
thing.
Jason and I
What's up, y'all?
are here in the studio for a special story time, pretty much.
We're going to tell you a story. It's going to take about an hour.
Yeah, we got about an hour to talk. And before we get into there, we're going to do a little roll call. It's been a minute since we did a morning routine. But while we're working, Jason, what do you got to do on your bike while we're doing this?
If you saw the video from yesterday that we shot on Tuesday, you'll see that I was rolling a pretty big gear ratio. So I'm going to put my bike back to street gearing, or what I think should be a street gearing. So I'm going to work on my bike a little bit while Terry B does his intro thing. And then, yeah, we'll chat.
Sweet. So, yeah, let's say what's up to everyone in the chat. We got, let me pull this over here. Who do we got up in here, man? We got Joe Swain. What's up, Joe? You were here early. Super early. We got Gustavo. What's up? Swish Buckets is in here, and it's Friday. Cheers to that. I hope you guys have your coffee. Or
Happy
you've
Friday.
had your coffee. Cafe.
We need coffee in here. We need like
need coffee in here.
like an espresso machine or something, you know, halfway decent.
We got Jamie Bodman, Art Falcon, Drift King, Ben Loudermilk. What up? Corey Davy Duck. We got Dimitri. I wish I can VIP you, buddy, but YouTube hasn't caught on yet. I see you in here. Mia Gallacher. We got a VIP her as well. She's in here saying what's up. I think she's
Mia?
She's in school right now. I don't
Mia's
know what
in
she's
school on stream.
I don't know what she's up to.
Mia. Go back to work. Go back to class.
Go back to class. Let me see. Oh, you're good. Oh, there we go. It's having a really hard time autofocusing on you today. Let's see.
Don't like me too much.
We got Matt Barrow, Art Falcon. I think I missed some people. I think that's it for today. Devin, what's up, Devin? Hello and welcome. So those of you who are new to a 360 stream, you can pan around the room if you'd like, and you could check out the Affinity space and see kind of what kind of bikes we got hanging from the ceilings, and jerseys that Jason has collected over the years, and the beautiful window light, and other relics and trophies from the cycling scene here in Brooklyn, New York. So you can look around. Also, be sure to notice there are some pictures in 360 on the wall. So if we're having conversation and you're like, or Jason's showing something to the camera, be sure to pan over to that picture-in-picture that's posted on the wall there.
So the virtual wall.
And you can get a nice cleaner shot of that. And then I have me above my head, and if I turn around here, check it out. La la la. You can see me here in 360. You've been looking at my back, but now I'm here. Hello, hi. And that's how this works. So I'm not going to talk through that anymore. I just want everyone to know who's here. You can feel it. Okay, so.
My camera's off.
Those of you who, I hear you, Jason. Jason, I will, remember I said don't worry about your camera. I got you, buddy. I got you.
You got me.
I got you.
You got me.
So last week, was it last week? It was this week.
No, it was.
This week. Oh man,
it
felt like
2 days
forever
ago.
So there's some extra pieces to the video that was just went up yesterday. The video that we are talking about is Winter saved the track bike. I don't know where that name came from, honestly. I just thought since it was so cold, I had to play off the whole winter thing. But we went up to the Bear Mountain area. Actually, I got to stand here, and this is the time I got to correct Jason. He said Bear Mountain every take.
I know.
And we were in Harriman State Park. Bear Mountain was very close by. I think Bear is technically part of Harriman State Park, but we were in Harriman.
It is. I guess it's different. The reason I kept saying it also is because, like, for me, that feels like Bear Mountain because also technically the road race is Bear Mountain. Yeah. So and we were on the road. The course where the race is, and so for me, I just kept on thinking Bear Mountain.
No one has said anything about it. It was just me. I was like, wait a minute, I want to correct him, and I was like, no, it's too cold.
And he did keep correcting me, and I just kept saying the same thing. So
check it out. We went out to shoot, and we planned this about a week and a half ago to do this. And the whole premise behind the shoot was to test some new gear, and the new gear was a drone. So I wanted to get some drone shots, and I really wanted to. It's been a while since I shot, and I used to shoot with drones in the city and kind of roll the dice and do sketchy shit with it. I'm not about that drone life anymore.
At least in the city.
Nowhere where I just don't want to harm anybody. I just want, I want people to be safe when I'm flying a drone around. I don't want to crash into anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody. So that's why I don't do it anymore. That, and also it's pretty illegal. So anyways, this other drone, we flew it upstate intentionally. The whole reason why I bought this drone was to do things away from people in nature, like places where you can get away with flying it. And the whole thing around this drone this technology is it flies itself. So I've been waiting for a while. The drone is called a Skydio 2, and I waited months and months and months to get this drone. So there will be more videos with it. Here's a little hint. I always crash drones, and this was a shoot where, yes, we crashed the drone on this shoot as well.
But we thought we were going to crash it because, I guess the drone has a hard time seeing like the tree branches, and we sort of knew that. But that was part of why we wanted to go up to Bear, because we were hoping there would be some like epic descents that we could get that weren't that were in the clear, so we could catch some good footage.
So we're looking for we were looking for wide open areas, and yes, the winter New York has a lot of trees, especially once you get out of the city, and there are a lot of trees without leaves on them, and then they have those little skinny tiny branches, and those are the branches that the drone has a hard time seeing. So once there are leaves on the trees, the drone does a lot better of seeing things. It just can't see like really thin things. So anyways, that's why we went and did the shoot. And of course, it's about an hour drive to get up there. So if we're going all the way up there, we might as well bring some more stuff. So I brought the Pocket 6K camera. I brought the obvious like GoPro like helmet cam stuff to do some chase footage. And the original idea was to do kind of like an Affinity Casino bike check with fast riding. That was like the idea. I wanted to do more bike check videos that were more engaging and less. Obviously, it'll give you looks of the bike, but it just isn't like a bunch of tech information about the bike. But I ran into my own problems. On the first, second, and third run, we kind of did them back and forth really quick. And it was what was it, 25 degrees when we first got there?
Yeah, it was cold.
It was
in
really cold on the first few runs, and I have never had my hands so frozen before. My hands were so cold and so frozen that I couldn't even feel the gimbal or anything I was holding in my hands anymore, and I had to pull focus. So you can see that I called it out actually in the video. I have, those of you who've been watching the development of the videos, I've been trying to put more time into giving more information. So I'm trying to do timestamps now. The intro is like, it says out of focus intro. The reason why I was out of focus multiple times, there's other takes where it's not, but the things that Jason said were a little messed up and there was a car, whatever. That was the cleanest take, and it was out of focus. And it happened to be one of the first runs, and my hands are freezing cold. I couldn't feel the focus puller. And anyways, that's what happened.
It was tough.
That was tough. one of the things. And a part of me, before we even set out to go, I was like, dude, maybe we should reschedule this. And I was like, no, Jason's a busy dude. I'm busy. Like, we already have the day set. Let's just handle it. And it was cold weather. Shooting when you don't have a thing to be warm, like to warm up quickly, it slows the filmmaking process down tremendously. So keep that in mind.
We were loading the car in, and then that's when all of a sudden it started getting really windy. Mm-hmm. We were like I have like a 1-up rack, and that's where Terry put the e-bike, and then we were supposed to shoot with the Low Pro. We were going to do the Casino bike check and then maybe get some content with the Low Pro. And so I had Terry's bike on the 1-up, and it just is a one up. And then I had my Casino in the car, and then the Low Pro on the top, because that was like less easy to put into the car because of the rack. And here we are trying to put like the Sea Sucker and the Low Pro, and we're getting like blown over in the wind, and it was so ridiculous. We literally had to put on gloves just to put on like the bike rack and stuff. It was like absolutely frigid cold. And that's when we didn't really second guess because the stoke was really high, but like we knew that we were going to be in for like a really cold day. And it was a really cold day, but there's a lot more, which we'll get to.
Yeah. So first couple takes were really hard. We sat in the car for 20 minutes after that, and my hands felt like they were swollen and like they just were on fire. I've never had my hands feel so terrible before. I really thought I had frostbite for only being out there for a little bit of time. So it actually warmed up a little bit. It got a little warmer, and the wind kind of died down for a bit. So we got a couple good takes. We put the bigger camera away, and we set the drone up, got the drone shots. The drone works pretty well, but you need cell service for it to have like the best signal, like the best working conditions. So I might even switch providers to run some tests, or get someone who has like Verizon to see if it works better with their phone. But that's something I'm working on, and I was pretty damn impressed with the drone's capability of it feels scary. You put it in the air and then you fucking let go, and you just you just let it fly. And it's kind of terrifying, but it kind of does its thing. And like I said, it did end up crashing towards the end, but I almost pulled the drone down because we had no cell signal at all, and I was already freaking out. I was like, wait, Jason, I think I should put it down. I was like, nah, fuck it, let's just let it run.
No, and it ran. I mean, like we got a couple of really clean shots, and it worked, and it was cool being like, you can hear it. It's loud enough that you can hear it. So, and even with it being like super windy, and you're sort of ripping on a descent, you can still hear it. So in a way, I sort of knew when it was there, and then when I lost it or whatever, and when it was sort of having trouble. So
yeah, And then I was
cool.
staying back to make sure I wasn't in the shot. And then we did some GoPro stuff of that. But the real story of the whole day has little to do with us shooting bikes and more to do with our transportation there. So
I didn't realize this was going to be about my car. Actually,
no,
now that
I mean
we're in it, I'm like,
this isn't an insult about
No,
his
no,
car at
well,
all.
I mean-
Jason's car is awesome. If you caught a Twitch stream in the past, I actually rode by it and I was like, "That's Jason's car," and I was like, "Oh shit, his license plates!" And I blocked it, but you got to see his car for a second. And some people on Instagram called it out. They were like, "Oh, it's a Subaru. That thing is sick because it's a whatever 92 something
X.
Saab 92X. It's basically a Subaru WRX, but a Saab."
yeah, so
Talk about it real quick.
right. So yeah, the car. So I've got it's a turbo car. It's a Subaru. It's a Saab, which technically they call it a Subaru because it's GM owned a piece of Saab that also owned a piece of Subaru, and so for 2 years it's basically Saab made the 92X, which is like just a rebadged WRX, but with the front end that looks like a Saab, and it's got like leather trim, and it's got an STI steering rack, but it's got a full boxer engine, and basically it's a WRX. And so they're sort of unicorns, you know, they're like rare cars, and so it's a cool car, and it's kind of tricked out, and it's got like a bunch of like every like bolt-on part you can imagine, and you know, and it's fun, and it can be a little finicky sometimes, and I sort of like love my car, but you know, it's an old car, and it's a turbo car, so you know, it runs differently in the winter versus the summer, and I load up tunes, and obviously I'm totally obsessed. So you know, we had the car, and I wound up having this like weird, so something happened the day before the shoot, and involving the battery, and I thought the battery had died on the car. And the day before, I went out to turn the car on, and just to make sure the car was cool, because it's also, again, it's winter, and turbo cars don't run as good in the winter, and they can be kind of finicky. The turbo doesn't like the cold air and, you know, whatnot. So I made sure the car was cool. I turned over the car. Everything was great. You know, these days I even have a garage, which is amazing. So, you know, Terry and I were starting off early the following morning, and, you know, we met at the shop at 8 o'clock. We load up the car. We drive out to Bear. We do the shoot. And I happened to be on a call, and I left the car on, the battery on, but wasn't starting the car. And after about, I mean, honestly, about 20 minutes, all of a sudden the speaker goes, and quickly I realized that the battery was dead. So yeah, so here we are, like in Harriman State Park. I'll quit calling it Bear. We realized that, like, like, what are we gonna do? You know, and so fortunately there were these like hikers, like, you know, we asked this lady if she could help us. I have jumper cables, and so we got to jump. And I tried turning over the car twice, and it like wasn't doing anything. It tried to turn over, and then all of a sudden all the power went totally on the car, so you couldn't even see anything, right? And so eventually this guy tried to jump us.
He was a nice guy, by the way.
He was
Shout out
really
to that
nice.
guy.
That
He's
guy-
like, "Where y'all from? Brooklyn?"
Yeah. Then he was like, "Park Slope." And we were like,
it was
no,
so funny.
You know, that was it. And
He
then
was,
we were
like, calling
like
us
Red
out.
Hook and Bed-Stuy. And I think we bought some cred because, you know, then he was like, "Okay, you're sort of like normal people." And he had a brand. Did he say it was a 2021?
Yeah.
He had like a brand new, I think it was a Nissan. He had this like nice new like little SUV thing, and he was super cool. He tried to give us a jump, and the car was, something else was wrong with the car all of a sudden, and it wasn't turning over even with the jump. And so he was nice enough, which in the long run this wound up being amazing. He wound up giving us little hand warmer things, you know, to like warm up our hands, and he was really cool and like sent us on our way. I wound up having to call like roadside assistance, and so this is where things start to go crazy. So we waited like how long? An hour or more. A police officer comes from the state, because it was this is in a state park. So my insurance company told me, hey, we can't send out a tow truck. The state police have to send out a tow truck. And of course it gets even more complicated because I'm on an all-wheel drive car, so you can't just send out a regular tow truck. It needs a flatbed, and the
Yep.
car's lowered, and so you got to be like careful. And so finally, a tow truck arrives. Car doesn't start. I realized then it could be I think Terry called it out that like it could have been a fuse.
Well, you were talking to your mechanic in Brooklyn, and
yeah.
then he was like, "Oh, it sounds like you might have like blown something else," and he was pissed that you had like the wiring for your stereo or whatever.
Oh right, yeah.
And then
yeah.
he was like something about a fuse. So then we were looking at the fuse, and then I could see the fuse. The main fuse was like grayed out. Like you can see the hard soldered joints on the top of the fuses. Like they're the big fuses, like the 80. He's got an 80 amp in there. So they're big, and you can see through the clear thing, and it's like it just looked gray and like burnt out, and the other ones had like shiny tops on them, and I was like, dude, that thing looks like it's gone. Anyways, so yeah, we ended up getting the tow from this guy who didn't want to drive us to Brooklyn because he was from a small town upstate. We're an hour away from Brooklyn. He's like, oh, right now, dude, oh, I don't know. So he was like, oh, I'll tow you to this other town. We're like, okay, so we figure it out. We were like, well, how are we going to go with you? He's like, you got to get in the car. How else am I going to take you there? So we sit in his car, and he tows us on the back of this huge flatbed truck in reverse. And if you caught the Instagram story, there's a shot of Jason and I, and it looks like we're driving on the road in reverse because we're on the back of a fucking tow truck. And the guy is hauling ass through Harriman Park.
He was driving really fast.
And we're just in this car on the top of his flatbed, and he's flying down. And if you've ever been through Harriman, these like 2-lane roads that are just like, kind of windy. And anyways, he's hauling ass. And it was a bizarre feeling. It felt like we were in a camera car, That's how they shoot moving car scenes for movies and other things. It just felt crazy. You can barely tell that we were super high up. But then he drops us off in this small town, and we convince him to take us to there's the clip right there. If you look at Jason, Jason's got it in the screen right there. Check it out, dude.
It was mental. That dude was driving so fast. This story's crazy, y'all. It's so crazy.
And then he takes us to we get him to take us to an Autozone, and we find the fuse. And not only did we need the fuse, we needed a 8mm socket to put the fuse in. We had no tools or nothing for the car. So Jason got a socket. We also hadn't eaten since whatever we grabbed on the way to get to the shoot, because we left here at like probably by 9 a.m. So whatever was in our stomach at 9 a.m., we were running on empty at 3 when the car finally got towed out of there. So we hadn't eaten, so we stacked up on AutoZone food, which is Snickers and potato chips. And then we got the car to start. The fuse made the car, it totally flipped over. The dash had lights again, and everything was good.
We high-fived. We were like on our way,
Bikes were still good. Everything was good. Cameras were good. And then we jumped in the car and drove for about half hour, maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I didn't smell anything. I couldn't really feel anything other than Jason started slowing down. So Jason, you started feeling the car acting up or something, right?
Yeah, so, I know my car, and something just didn't seem right. Like, the check engine light came on, and I was just kind of like nursing it, it's got the car's like super modified. It's got like a ton of stuff, and it's got a new motor in the car, and I don't kill the car. I don't launch the car. I don't take it to the track. I baby my car, and I just knew something wasn't right. Occasionally I get a check engine light, but I sort of like can diagnose it, and so all of a sudden the car just like loses power, like I felt like in the long run it turned out that I was right. I was like a cylinder was down or something. So we were like on the Palisades Parkway, which is like on the route home. And so in the moment I didn't even realize we pulled right off the exit and we were on 9W. And so for those like of you who don't like know the city, like 9W is like the route like if you want to get out of the city and go for like a ride, you like ride over the GW bridge and boom, you're like on 9W. And if you take 9W all the way up, it'll go to Bear Mountain and Harriman, and that's where like all the riding is. So like if there were anywhere outside of the city that a cyclist would know would be 9W. So we just happened to pull off there, and again, I got a call like roadside assistance to tell them that like it turns out my car wasn't okay. Something was really wrong, and I just didn't want to like totally screw up the car. So I call another tow, and by then it was about 7 o'clock. You know? So it was like just dark, and 9W doesn't have lights.
Not to mention it was 25 degrees when we first started filming. It warmed up to about 35 ish, and then we were fucking freezing, dude, the whole time. And then when the car started back up, we were like, yes, it's warm in here. We even had like hand warmers that we shoved in our shoes for under our toes, because it was really the feet that were really getting cold. And then what happened?
So the guy who gave us like those hand warmers, which was awesome. It was like kind of a lifesaver. We got so cold. It was flashing back like to when we were in the car for hours. Terry and I are like stuffing them in our feet, like at first like under the arches of our foot, and then like eventually we're like wedging them into our toes to try to like make our feet warm. And so like hours and hours later, both of us had like these hand warmers like wedged in our shoes. And so we're on the side of the road. I call roadside assistance, and I'm like, I'm on 9W. And they're saying, well, where? What's the mile marker? Where are you? And so we're trying to give them this reference. We were just before state line in New Jersey. There's a Columbia University campus up the road, and we think we're by Alpine. We think we're by exit 4. Come pick us up, please. So the tow truck driver, it took them a long time to get a tow truck driver to I guess agreed to tow us to Brooklyn. It's nighttime. It was like, cold or whatever. And eventually we got a tow truck driver from Brooklyn who was going to drive all the way out. They call us back and they say, you're on a highway or an interstate. We can't pick you up. And right in the moment when she says this, a flatbed tow truck with a car on it drives right by us. And so I'm trying to tell this lady, I'm like, I just saw a tow truck.
Yeah, she's tripping, dude.
Like, please pick us up. But it was more about, I think, the fact that they just didn't want to come and pick us up.
They were doing some New York shit. They were just like, you got to take it to a smaller road, blah, blah.
Yeah, so she's like, you have to be on a smaller road. And I'm like, my car's like not running right, so you got to help me out.
And she's telling you to call 311, and you're like, dude, I called my insurance, and my insurance called you. Like, what do you...
What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
So I wound up like turning the car over. The motor sounded okay. It wasn't like, it's not, fingers crossed, I didn't like blow my motor. But, so I wound up like limping it up the road. And it turns out I had to go a little further to a point on 9W where there happened to be a gas station. So we pull off of 9W and there's a gas station right there where the tow truck driver, I knew that the tow truck driver could come in from an alternative route other than 9W. So I call the lady back. I say, okay, here I am. Come pick us up. She says, cool, it'll be an hour and a half. And so by then it was like, I think around 7:30. So we're like, okay, 8, 9 o'clock. Okay, not ideal, but we're cool. So at that point, Terry and I switched back to, I was like, I almost at one point was like, we were like, okay, we need booze. Because at that point, the car's not going anywhere. We're getting a lift home, like it's time to like, all of this happened up to this point totally sober, and like crazy day, crazy experiences, everything else, just I need a beer. So we go
to the gas station, is what that gas station. We try to go to that gas station. They don't have beer there, which is fine. I just want to eat at this time. So we have a gourmet meal, dude. We go to town. We go to town in this like gas station. They had in the back corner, they had like not like the bag of like regular top ramen. They had the bowls, and they had like udon bowls and top ramen bowls. I mean, it wasn't really that good, but it was like, people, if you're in a pinch, you can use the hot water from the coffee machine, and we were in a pinch. So we both had udon from the gas station, and we had I had like udon. I had, what else did I had a bunch of shit. Oh, a Pop-Tart. I had Pop-Tarts, udon.
Cheetos, fire Cheetos.
Oh yeah, flaming hot Cheetos. And a Coke.
And hot tea. Did you say
Oh
tea?
Yeah, we had hot tea.
We both got hot tea.
Yeah,
So we got like, here we are like in the gas station, like using like the hot water to like make like fake udon and like getting hot tea. And then what's on top of and it's
COVID. And it's COVID too. Remember, it's COVID. So we can't sit in the gas station and fucking eat the ramen. We got masks on and shit. So like, there's nowhere to go. We're fucked.
So we make our ramen, and then Terry sees the tea and he's like, I want some tea. And he's like pouring the thing.
Oh shit.
And it's scalding hot tea. And then all of a sudden he's like, yo, Jay. He's like, look over. And what's on top of the
hot water dispenser?
Like a tiny little roach.
A tiny little cockroach.
Like
and
it looked tiny little roach. Like
it looked like it was going to jump in.
And he was totally, his little antennas are like going all out. And like, we're like, yeah, okay, yep, of course, right? So we're pouring our tea and we're hoping that the roach doesn't like go in our teacups. So Terry was clear and the roach like kind of walks away a little bit. And then I'm like, I'm going for it because like here we got to sit back in this like freezing ass car. And so I get my tea and everything else, and we pay. There was like some other weird experience. This lady like came in and like totally jumped in line and like didn't have a mask on. And it's
you can tell there were some locals from the like small neighborhood on the side of 9W. They were like, this is their local like quick stop. And she like totally busted in there with no mask and saw us with our masks on, and she was like grabbed her like hoodie and just put it over her face, and then she cut the other people. It was kind of awkward.
It was awful, dude. But we got back to the car, and here we are, like we're like eating our ramen in the car, and I think I still had like my shoes on or something, like I don't know. We got comfortable, right?
Yeah.
And we like eat our ramen and we're like telling stories.
Remember, we had an hour and a half to kill.
Yeah, so it was like, whatever, we got our time. We actually joked at one point that I was like maybe gonna try to limp the car to like a bar or like, like do something, just to like whatever. But we're having a good time and we're chilling and everything else. Like, I call my wife and Terry calls his girlfriend and we're like, yo, we're gonna be stuck. We're cool. Everything's okay. And we eat our ramen, we eat our snacks and everything else, and then we check the time, and it's like, okay, we got another 30 minutes. And then the 30 minutes passes, and we're like, so by then it's like at least 9 o'clock. I call back roadside assistance, and it says, here's the number, call the number for the tow truck. So I call the number for the tow company. Rings and rings and rings, nobody answers. And then it goes to voicemail, and then the voicemail doesn't work. And so I'm like, all of a sudden, I just had this feeling. I'm like, tow truck driver's not coming. I was like, we're like, this isn't gonna happen. So Terry's super cool. I apologize like 1,000 times. Terry was super rad.
I was just sitting. What else can you do? I was just like sitting there. If I had to be stuck
with anybody, it would be Terry. Like we even joked, like we need to be filming more. We need to like do things. Like we were just. It was cold. It was cold.
It was too cold to do that.
We were dealing. We were like dealing. Like fortunately, we were bundled up. We were like in our gloves, like hands in pockets. Like it was cold. So we're dealing. And Terry's like, just hold out a little bit longer, right? So we hold out. And then it's like 2 hours. And I'm like, I don't know, So we start talking about ideas, like what are we gonna do? I call back roadside assistance, and you can't just like yell at people. Like they did everything they could. I was like trying to explain that, the guy's like, let me call the tow service again, and I knew what the answer was gonna be. So I call my wife, and I'm like, okay, we got a couple of choices. Terry and I at that point started talking about, I was like, well, I don't know who said it, but we were like, we've got bikes and we're on 9W, so we could like ride home, like we were like, I think it was less than 10 miles, like 8 miles or 7 or 8, like it was 10 miles. So we that was a choice. The other choice, because the gas station was kind of seedy, like it wasn't like Fortunately, we were at a gas station, so and then eventually, I don't know what time, but the gas station closed. And the guy
even came to the car and was like, "Hey guys." He was. We forgot to mention how like kind of awkward he was being when we were in the store. He was like watching me pour the water in the thing and watching me. He was just like watching me, and I was like, "Have you?" I was like trying to spark up conversation with him because it was awkward.
No.
He was just like watching me pour water into the udon thing, and he's like, "May I help you?" And I was like, no, I'm just making some udon. I was like, have you had this before? Anyways, he was like awkward in the store, and then at the end of when he was closing up shop, he was like, okay, I'm closed now, I'm going home. And he like knocked on the window.
We had to be like, we're waiting for a tow, like we're not like shooting heroin or anything, it's like, so like, but the guy was super cool, and he's like, a poor dude was out there like, for the most part, like standing outside, like waiting for people, because Jersey's like full service, Yeah. And so he goes. Then it's like lights out at the gas station. There was like a light on or something, but And so we're back. We're like no power. It's cold, and we're like, okay, this tow truck's not coming. Then the tow service says like, we can get you another tow, but it's going to be like, we knew how long the wait was going to be, so here we are like calculating time. By that time it was past 10 o'clock. Could even be like 10:30. So we're like trying to figure out, Terry's like on his phone. So we're trying to then realize he like last week went to the GW and it was closed for the bike path. And so now we're like, oh my God, like could we get to the bridge and the bridge not be open? And what if it was? Would we ride over the car part with our bikes? And like, so one option, that was the option. And the other option was to try to like just limp the car like another like 8 miles or something, to the foot of the bridge. Because some people ride their cars there, and then ride out on 9W. So that was an option. Or another option, which we didn't really like, was to just call an Uber, because we had all of our bicycles. There were 3 bicycles plus all of Terry's equipment, plus he had a boosted board. I think maybe I had another set of wheels.
We had 3 bikes, a whole bag of camera equipment, a boosted board, like lots of batteries. This fucking thing full of water. It was like
so that was not a great option. That was that was not the option. So I called my wife and I was like, I called my wife because a part of me at the time, I didn't even tell you this, Terry. A part of me wanted her, I was going to explain the options. And then a part of me wanted her to just be like, send it, like drive the car, We even said at one point, I'm like, maybe I could just limp it all the way home, but like, again, it wasn't running right. And I just like I didn't need a new motor, and so I didn't, So I called my wife and then at that point I began to realize, I was like, I think we're going to like ride home. I was like, that seems definitely like the best option. And, my wife's like, all right, well, that's what you guys do, and then I think it became pretty apparent that was like the best idea, that's what we could do, right? So I decided that, like, although I had the casino and it was all built up, and to answer everyone's questions, like on the thread, so I was running on the casino for the shoot, I was running a 5816, which is like 95 gear inches. And the reason why I chose that gear was because the idea for most of the shoot was going to be that we were doing descending. And so, I wanted to choose a gear that I could like light up, and I mean, 95 is like not too heavy. I mean, it's heavy, it's heavy, it might be really heavy for a lot of people, but it's not like too heavy. Like that's like a moderate race gear, like, and so, I was on a 95. I was on a 5816. And so the casino wasn't like, I'm like, if I got to go, down 9W, that wasn't a good choice. So fortunately, I had the low pro. which has a basket on it, and it's got that big, huge thing like in the center, which we call a sail. It's like a saddle bag, or it's not a saddle bag. It's like a frame bag.
It's a frame bag. You guys have seen it. I have
frame
one on
bag.
my bike.
Yeah,
He's got a frame bag on the bike.
Terry's got the black one. So the Low Pro's got a left-hand drive. It's tricked out with like honey wheels, like clincher, like deep section wheels with my basket and the rack. But for me, that was the best choice because it had a spinny gear. It was a 5115, which is like I think that's like an 88 or something. And so Terry's got his e-bike. He's got. I always call it an e-bike. Is that an e-bike?
It's totally an e-bike.
That's an e-bike.
Yeah, I have the Cannondale.
It's a pedal assist like Cannondale. What's it called?
It's a Topstone Eno.
The Topstone.
You guys, if you're familiar with
sick.
the Twitch streams, I used it on the last few Twitch streams. Yeah, so it's actually right here. You can. Yeah. It's in the scene. You can awesome. Check it out. It's right behind me. On the ground here, the green one with the frame, and now it's got riser
bars, and it's like just totally tricked out.
That's the new that thing. By just little insert here. That thing was dude to film with. That thing was amazing.
And he was. We started with the boosted board, not to get sidetracked, but we started with the boosted board, and the boosted board is rad because like you can get low and it's fast and it's got like a lot of torque and it like gets up to speed, But the problem was it was like really loud, the boosted board.
Yeah, the audio is not usable with the boosted board. With this bike, as long as I'm pedaling, the audio is very usable.
But he's got to like film with no hands.
Yeah, so I'm all the shots where I'm filming with I'm riding no handed.
Super pro.
It's gonna happen, dude. We're gonna do some of those videos in New York soon.
So we're riding. So we decide we're gonna ride. So we go for it. Terry's got all of his equipment in his bag. I felt bad, and I have my basket bike. So I'm like, let me put your stuff on the basket. And
Can't
he
do
like
that.
couldn't do that because that like wasn't an option. Because
the rattling and shit.
All the rattling, and he's got tons of equipment. But I took advantage of it, and I put my bag. I have my computer bag, and I put my bag in the basket.
Yeah.
And so boom, we're gone, and we're riding, and we're on 9W, and it's pitch black, and we have no lights, and so we're riding. There were cars here and there, but not as much as you would think. It was not busy, which actually for me was even better because it was the less cars the better because it's sketchy, and there were definitely some patches where it was icy and like it was dangerous, but like it was really dangerous. But you couldn't really think about that. Like you had to just we just had to go for it. And we were ripping, man. We were like ripping, and we made really good time. And in the pitch black.
That's the one thing.
Pitch black.
You haven't mentioned. We had no lights, front or back.
Nothing.
9W doesn't have a lot of lights, and it's kind of like it's kind of like an old highway, so cars fly by, trucks, and it's got kind of a shoulder, but sometimes the shoulder goes away, and also sometimes there's drains. It's very rare, but there's like a drain or two every once in a while, and then occasionally there's just branches on the ground. So like we're hauling ass and we can't even see the ground really in front of us. So like we're riding the white line because there's contrast there. And if something was on the ground, you could see it on the white line. You can't see it on the asphalt. There's no, it's dark and dark. So we're like riding the white line and like cars coming up and we're like, shit, we got to get off the white line. And like, I hope there's not a fucking branch right there when a car drives by. Anyways,
It was hardcore, and I mean it was fear. It was adrenaline. It was being conscious of everything, and we just and then there was the other part of us is like we just wanted to get home, because by then it was like 11. It was like 11 o'clock or something, and to give you some perspective, also, the car. We left the shop at like by 9 a.m. We got to Bear 10:30 or so, we do our thing, we organize, we're shooting. I had a meeting at 1:30, and then that's when the car broke down. So from 2 o'clock till like 10:30 at night is like we're dealing with all this insanity. Like all of everything we've said so far, it's like like 9 hours or 10 hours or more, you know. So this whole part of us, we want to get home, you know, and we're at the same time we're having a really good time. We're like riding in the dark, we're doing stupid things, like we're just like living it in a way, and you know, it was epic. And we get, you know, you hit your certain marks like on 9W where you know you're like, okay, you get to this point and you're like, okay, then I get to this point, and then, you know, it turns out that where the car had pulled off was right where you pop up out of River Road, to give those who have some perspective.
It's right below the state line.
Yeah. So we were
It's
right
like
below
the
state
college,
line, you know,
state line. You go under the Palisades Parkway real quick and come up the hill, and it's like the first right turn when you're riding south.
It was
on
right
9W.
there. It was right there. And so we had a good little ride, you know, and we're doing it, we're hauling, we're ripping. I mean, considering we're like on an e-bike,
considering
and a
I'm on an e-bike,
basket bike with a frame bag on it, you know, like bags on us and everything else. And so we did it. We got there. We get to the foot of the bridge, and right in that moment, literally, I was going to be like, yo, let's just, so the idea was maybe that we were going to take the A train. We decided we're going to get over the bridge and get on the A train, you know, but, you know, it's like COVID and we're, you know, whatever. That was the best thing because it was a long day, to say the least. And so we're getting on the bridge. And right in the moment, I was going to say, yo, let's just ride all the way home, because like for me, I would rather like ride home than like sit on the train, you know. And we go up, just about to get on the bridge, and I flat.
This is the cherry on top. Yes, flat. He gets a flat.
Rear flat.
While we're still in Jersey.
On the Jersey side of the GW bridge. And so I'm about to be like, yo, Terry, let's ride. And I get a flat. And I get a flat tire. So I'm like, yo, Terry? I'm like, I just flatted. And so he's like, are you serious? So we're like, we're laughing. There's nothing else you can do but just like laugh. And at that point, and if Tijan's not watching, I got to tell Tijan the story. I didn't even tell him that. I got my honey wheel on, like carbon 50 millimeter, like crazy lace to fills wheel. Left-hand drive. It's a left-hand drive Phil Wood wheel, okay? Flat tire. I'm like, I'm riding. I'm not like stopping. I'm not walking. I'm riding. So I proceed to ride my bike over the GW bridge on a dead flat tire. I didn't stop. I was very careful, you know, like when you got the little like turns and you know, like where there was a couple where I got to be like, excuse me, coming through, and I'm like, drum, 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 you know, like flat tire status, you know, those people must have thought we were out of our minds.
Dude, riding a flat tire all the way over the bridge, I would have my fat ass would have broke that shit. It would have been so busted.
It was, you know, not safe, to say the least, right? So we're still going. And I'm like, he's like filming me on his phone, and we're like, you know, making it happen. You know, we're doing it, you know. So then you get to the parts, you know, where you're going in and you're going out, and then you get to the bottom, you know, part where you're back on the New York side. And then I'm like, oh man, I know what's coming. You got like the descent, right? And then it descends down, and then it goes right, and then it goes down, and then it goes to like a really, really tight, it gets single lane, right?
You see people in on road bikes go around this little hairpin and they unclip.
Yeah,
and I'm
like,
always
a
like,
lot of people can unclip, and also like some, you know, it's dicey because there'll be people walking up, or walking down, or cyclists riding up, or cyclists riding down. And
one time I saw a couple on a tandem riding up to it, and I was like, how are they going to get that bike through the tandem through the switchback?
You'd have to like lift up the tandem.
That's how
like
tight the turn is.
And it was like, it's a descent, so you like turn right, you know, and then you're like going down. And I'm like, I'm not stopping. I'm not getting off my bike. And I was in my step-ins. I was in my step-ins. And so I like unclip, and I'm like Ted Shredden. I just jammed my foot in the wheel and on a flat. And I'm like, I'm just doing it. I'm doing it. I didn't care. I was like, I didn't want to walk. And so I just start like Ted shredding, the rear wheel. I'm slowing down, and I make it, and I turn. Well, it was even before that where I'm like going down the descent where I'm like, and so I do it. I make it around the turn. Like, I made it. And then there was like the last step where like you then get to the last point where, I'm on a track bike, with no brakes on a flat tire. And when you get to the bottom, it's like there's cars right there. So if you were to overshoot it, you would go down like a curb, like a big fat curb. But then you would go onto the street where people are like exiting the highway or whatever. So, it was not like safe or a good idea, but I'm like, at that point, nothing in the world made sense. And I was just like, I don't know why I didn't want to walk. I mean, I have my cleats and I roll speed plays. And so it's got big chunky and whatever, man. It was cold. And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. And so I make it around the turn. And so I did it. And so we're back in New York. Like we made it back. We're like going, we're there. And so then we decided, obviously, because I got a flat, that we're going to, we got to get to the A train, right?
Well, we were talking about getting drinks forever, dude.
Yeah. So the first thing was like, I need a beer, and so we were like, okay, we made it back, and so I think at the moment, so I keep riding, and then Terry, I think, expected me to like stop riding or something, and he was like, you're gonna keep, he kept.
Yeah, I was like, okay, he's gonna ride that carbon wheel. Oh, he made it over the bridge. He's definitely gonna walk now that we're in Manhattan. No, he just pedaled it up the hill with a flat, like up the little hill. And then we got over to Broadway and he's still on the bike. And I was like, okay. And then he's like, you need a beer? We're like, yeah, let's get a beer.
There's potholes. It was like, whatever, and by that time I'm like, we're doing it, like we're there. So we get it. Was it Broadway?
Yeah.
I think it was Broadway.
We're trying to catch the A train. It's on Broadway. We're trying to get to 168th.
Like 170. We're 160s. We're like riding down the road. And, finally, we see like a bodega. We're like, sweet. Okay, cool. I go inside. There's no beer. And I'm like, okay. So I walk out. I go to the next bodega. It's like right next door. I walk in there. No beer. And so I'm like, we can't even get beer.
But the place next to the second bodega was a liquor store.
That was open, at like what time? It was like midnight.
Yeah, everything was closed. COVID's making New York weird.
But for some reason, everything
was closed.
That's also. I didn't even know this because I like don't go in the city because I don't go anywhere because of COVID. But like, I didn't even know that bodegas would be open that late. But I guess they are. The rules in the city are different than in Brooklyn because if you're at Brooklyn past 10 or 11, everything shuts down. I mean, there's nothing open anymore. But there were bodegas open, and somehow there was a liquor store open. And so I was like, yo, let's get a bottle of something. And so Terry was like, yeah, totally. And so I go in there, and, that's not the Bronx. It's just uptown.
No, that's
Harlem? Harlem? Is that Harlem?
Yeah, it's Washington Heights.
Washington Heights.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm from Brooklyn. So...
Is that the Bronx?
So
yo, DB's gonna get him.
We're in Washington Heights on Broadway in 160 something street, and there's like this liquor store, and it was a nice liquor store, but they had like the little bottles section, that was big, but it was all like I was like, what about some like, I don't know what I said. Well, we agreed it was whiskey, and I was like, how about some Makers or something. And we go in there, and it was like a bigger bottle of Dewar's, and then like the smaller stuff that we were gonna get was like E&J, or like Jack Daniels. There was a couple of other things, but it was like nothing. It was like there was like two choices, and I did not want to get E&J, although that's what Eddie Williams used to drink, Fast Eddie. So I bought Jack Daniels, and so I came out, and we popped that thing, and we took a couple of swigs, and Terry if you guys watched the stream earlier in the week, Terry ate 8 Big Macs, and I think
oh god,
well, he burped up half a Big Mac, and I think he thought I was gonna like chug the whole bottle because I took a good swig, and so he's like, I'm good, and I think at that moment I think we both realized it was like, you're like, yeah, you gotta like slow down on that. We're not gonna like chug a bottle. So then we go another half a block, and then I was like, let's pick up some Coke. We can have like Jack and Cokes. So I go into this another bodega, and I pick up like a, whatever, a little like Coke cans, right? So we like ride down the road. We go like 5 more blocks. I'm riding on my flat, and then we get there. We got there, and we made it to the A train, and then at the time I realized that I hadn't been on a train. It's like a year now since like the day of lockdown, which for us was like March. It was like March 15th.
18th.
What's that?
It's March 18th. I know because that was that was the first day I started the morning routine.
That was the official first day of lockdown. I took the train on the last time the 15th. I quarantined a few days earlier, but it had dawned on me that I hadn't been on a train in a year solid. And so I was like, oh man, I haven't been on the train. And so we get down on the train. I guess we could say this, I didn't have a Metro card. I had 2 Metro cards, but they were expired. And it was like, whatever. So Terry swiped through, hopped through, we get on the train. Then we mixed our Jack and Cokes, and we got on the train. And so for me, I'm like half bugging, but full transparency, I'm super fortunate. Terry and I laugh about this and we joke because we're on opposite ends of this. I've been fortunate. I got my shot 1 of my vaccine. I'm a group 1B. I have like really bad asthma. And so
he's a track racer who rides a 58-15 in cold weather, but he's got asthma.
And I like have crazy asthma.
Yeah.
And if my daughter Mia is watching, like unfortunately my terrible genes have passed it on to my daughter, who I'm like terrified, like I don't want us to catch COVID. Fortunately, I've been able to get my shot 1, and so now I'm sort of like living a little bit vicariously, and not vicariously, but I don't. That's actually not true. Actually, I'm still super safe, but it was like an experience for me to hop on the train, and there wasn't that many people. It was like super cool, and here we're kind of we're like rehashing the whole evening because it was like we made it at that point, and so we're taking the train. We get there, and then boom, we're back in Brooklyn. We say peace, and Terry goes home. You live right off the A train, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty close to the A train. Yeah.
So Terry's there. I got to transfer to the F. I get back.
What's your address?
So I'm in. I used to live in Carroll Gardens, and now I live in Red Hook, which ironically is the same stop. So I get off. But my commute now is like just a little bit further. So where it was like 2 minutes down the road, I got to go a little further into Red Hook. And I'm like, again, screw it. I'm like riding on my flat, and so, here I am going down the road, like, riding on my flat. And
you rode home from the train station. Yeah. Of course you did.
Yeah, of course. I've come this far. So I get home, and go in the door, and we made it. And we made it. Terry got home, and I texted him. I'm like, oh my God, dude, we made it. That was the craziest day. And again, I apologized and thanked him like a billion times because
it wasn't
he's like
your fault,
the
dude.
raddest dude ever.
It wasn't your fault.
It was awesome, and we bonded. And at one point, Terry says to me, he's like, there was one other time I had an experience like this. Can I say it?
Yeah.
And he's like, I was on mushrooms. Straight up, and I was like, I joked when we were over the GW bridge. I was like laughing. I was like, we did this sober. Like,
riding over,
This was like real, and I agreed. I was like, the only time craziness happens is like when you're on psychedelics. And we were not on psychedelics. He like texted me a picture of like his girl like hugging him and like kissing him, that like we made it, like. My wife was like, just come to bed, but like I was so hungry, that like I had to like eat food and like, yeah. So we made it, and that's our crazy ass story. And it turns out that the car is gonna be fine. It's not, well, no, I actually shouldn't say anything.
Yeah, this is a good time because we should wrap up this, definitely the story, but it is, I just want to give you It's 12:33, Jason.
Ooh,
You
Sorry,
love.
Carla.
No, you're good. You're
Okay.
chopping it up. But there is a chat right there. I just want to address.
Let's go to the chat.
I just want to address some of these comments and questions before we say goodbye, because Jason has a hard out, so we're trying to keep him on track. We're a little behind, but let's get to some of these things. I'm just going to read a couple things out loud. Some people said it would have been a good vlog. The story that we just told would have been a good vlog. And we actually talked about that while we were in the middle of it a little bit. The problem was your hands being cold. Just lack of motivation, really. But you're right. If someone else was filming, it would have been great. But we had already filmed so much, and all the camera equipment, and like jumping in and out of different tow trucks and trying to, yeah. I wish I had a camera. I wish I had a vlogging type camera sometimes. I just don't have, these cameras don't have autofocus. There's a myriad of excuses. I have an iPhone, that would have worked, but the storage was low.
And we did a little bit of like iPhone footage.
Yeah, we have some stuff. It will be in a video dump, I promise you. You will see some clips from that in the next video dump.
It wasn't ideal. It was like fight or flight, sort of. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't, but it was, because we were like, yeah, it was pretty mental.
Let me see. What else? What else is in there?
We were talking about the gearing on the bike, and I was running a 58-16 for the ride, and now I just changed in the beginning of it. So now I'm on a street. This is my street gear, which is a 56-16. So I was on a 58-16, and now I'm on a 56-16, which is like 92 or 93 gear inches, which is the equivalent of like a 53-15, or like, it should be like a 49-14. So I do run a heavy gear, but I run heavy gears.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's pretty funny. Let's see. Here's one. I logged in chat just to say you need a Terry E. Barentsen channel. That was a mod. That's Mike. What camera did I shoot the Affinity vid on? That was with a Blackmagic Pocket 6K, a GoPro, a drone, and iPhone. So there was someone on Instagram kind of trolling everybody, responding to people. I actually know that guy. People were asking, what did I shoot this on? This and that. He's like, probably an iPhone, probably this. He was actually kind of right. The guy's name's right. Connor. He was right. There was 2 or 3 shots in the edit that was with an iPhone. So,
yeah.
I'm not afraid to just throw whatever I'm using in there. But obviously,
it looked really good.
The whole video was based around trying to get a drone shot, really. That's all it was. I wanted to do a long drone shot. By the way, there is a rough cut-ish type video of the shoot because we have lots of like follow footage. And that video is going to go up maybe Sunday, maybe Monday. It's already ready. But it's basically like a rough cut. It's like a hotline. It has a drone shot and a GoPro shot in it. So anyways, just wanted to plug that real quick. And then let's see.
Dimitri wanted to know about the bike.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the stock 2021 Hunter Green Casina. It's got the Affinity cranks. I normally roll all Thompson, but this is a Zip 140 millimeter stem. I roll a long stem. It's been in some of the threads and some of the comments and chats and on our Instagram page. These are Affinity prototype bars, and they're 36 centimeter wide bars, and they will be out into the future. So
I forgot. Those are your bars. Yeah, those are Affinity bars. Because a lot of people were asking about those bars.
Yeah,
I forgot that you made those.
They're compact. They're Affinity originals. I roll the wheel set was mismatched before. That was the little tubular one in the front. So these are tubulars. This wheel set and the other one. The front was the ultralight with the extra light hub and the titanium spokes, and with Vittorias. These are like my favorite wheel sets. They're campy Victory Stratas on old school Dura Ace hubs they're slotted with like bladed spokes. I roll the Speedplay Aero, the golf ball style. And then I've got my Affinity cranks and chain rings. I roll a KMC Cool Chain, standard cog.
Bike check.
And my Physique. This is the R1 with the Thompson saddle. bike.
And
10
another,
parts.
I should have just recorded that. Clip that because
we can clip it again.
I actually have other footage that lots of rolling shots of the bike, and we were gonna do. Remember, I said we were gonna do like a bike check. We might end up doing that with voiceover later. So
we could do that. I
if people want to hear it
shout
again.
out to my car.
Oh yeah.
Because like I love my car. I do love my car, and I'm
Car's
sorry,
sick.
car, and it's gonna be okay. And I hate my car so much, but it unfortunately got hurt. And it's a cool car. It's super fun. It's like rad, and I love it.
Let's see. Yeah, shout out to the day one morning routine vets. I know there's a bunch of you in here, so thanks for being along. Like I said, it's been a hot minute. We've been doing this for a while. We really took it.
I can't believe you said it's season 2 also.
Yeah.
When you started it, he was like season 2 episode. I was like,
I started
what?
like a season 2 like after we hit 100 and something, just because I don't know, it felt weird just continuing it. I felt like there should have been seasons, but I didn't really change much. I think I broke more things than I actually fixed.
Rapid fire
like I
question.
didn't progress. I regressed a little bit.
How many bikes do you own? Thoughts on folding bikes, and if you can keep one bike, which would it be? Is that for you?
Oh yeah, you answered that, and I can. Chris Vogues, here we go. Rapid fire questions. How many bikes do I own? Technically 6, but I only ride 5 of them, or 4 of them really. And thoughts on folding bikes? Never owned one. If I lived in Japan, I'd own one.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
And then if I can only keep one bike, which would it be? I have to say it would have to be my gravel bike, the number 22, because I can go on road rides. I can ride mountain bike trails-ish on it. I can ride long, short. It is a versatile bike. You're not going to be the fast on the road. You're not going to be the fastest on the mountain bike trails, but you can conquer it all.
That's the Terry B bike. I mean, that's a
I
bike
love
that
thing.
Describes him the most. I mean, I don't even know how many bikes I have. I don't have too many bikes. I'm the kind of person that like, I'll build
Why don't you guys pan around the room and you'll see all the bikes hanging. Those are his bikes.
I do have a lot of bikes, but not like daily regular bikes. Yeah. I have like this bike and my road bike. He's got his car,
that's why. He's got that Subaru, that's why.
I guess I have a lot of bikes. I have a lot more frame sets that are like, I think my point was that like, I'm not the kind of person who builds up too many bikes and like keeps bikes like together, sort of.
Yeah.
I sort of like I have my track bike, and so when I build a new one, I'll take my parts off of it and like put it on my new track bikes. There's a couple of like the digitizer is mostly built up. My road bike I'm never touching, and then I've got like my Low Pro. I got the Low Pro. I don't know how many that is. I've got a bunch of bikes, but I also have a lot of wheels and crap, because I have to change components and for like race wheels and discs and all that kind of junk. And what Terry says about folding bikes. And Terry's out of the room right now. I want to shout him out. He's the fucking man, and he's my homie, and I'm so awesomely thrilled that we had this experience. And like, I just want to say again how rad he is, and he does awesome shit, and you should totally support this guy because he's fucking real and he's awesome. So thank you, Terry.
Oh, you wrapping up?
I don't know. I guess so. I was
bikes.
taking the moment to like give you some praise because he is so real and rad, and we had an awesome time. And if my car fucking blew up, I still like would say it's like one of the raddest fucking days that I've had in a seriously long time. So.
It was a challenging shoot day, but we both made it. We both made it happen.
Yeah, we had a cool edit. We made a cool edit too. So that was cool.
Yeah, and shout out David Robinson in the chat. Shout out to David Robinson, the Moonshine. Yeah. This whole
the epic
setup. You see how this 360 stream wouldn't be possible without what he's doing, what he has set up here. We have a PC that's his. He's letting us use it here. If you pan around the room and you see the cables hanging from the ceilings and the weird 360, the 360 camera itself wouldn't work without, it's his as well. So this is all stuff. So shout out to David Robinson.
Shout out David Robinson
for hooking it up and making this work.
The crazy tech.
And like I obviously wouldn't know how to do any of this shit. So
yeah. Well, some of it.
Yeah.
He would be able to do it, but not without the crazy awesome.
Not all
Some
this
of the
like
crazy awesome
next level stuff, this like 360 stream. I know it's like a little different to watch, and I don't know if it's you guys. Let us know if it's worth watching, or should we just do these flat? It's like we have the technology and the like weird software it's not even out. This is David's own software. Like you can't do this without what he's got.
That's cool.
Wow. What we're using here.
That's rad.
You know, I don't know. Is it engaging? Is it cool? Let us know. Because we could just do. There's many other applications for this.
And
for example.
And this is following me.
Yes, the tracking camera. Yeah, I've been trying to do this tracking camera for a long time.
Follow me. Look.
So it doesn't always have to be somebody here. It doesn't have to be Jason and I. We can do this same thing with a Zoom, like a Google Chat, like a COVID safe type interview as well. I just, you know.
But we're not.
So anyways, we're gonna try to do more of these. I don't know. David definitely wants to make sure we're doing. They're not just one-offs, so maybe one a week. And then I guess since we're here talking about schedules and stuff, I'm trying not to talk about schedules too much on YouTube because I've been kind of just letting it ride and float and how I have time and how I feel about everything. But I think, the morning routines, I know I kind of let them fall off because of the audio on the Mac, but we have the technology. But it would be nice to do maybe one of these 360 streams a week if, David has the time and Jason has the time. It would be the three of us working together making this happen. And then, the regular members Monday, I would love to bring that back in now that we have another computer, PC, that we can do desktop audio with. So working on getting that set up. Maybe we can do one next week because I miss doing it. I miss seeing what you guys are putting out and watching it with everyone live. So, and I mean, we could walk around and do the 360 kind of thing. Yeah, you're right. I'm limited to the microphone I have right now. That's why I'm sitting here with my back to the 360 camera. We only have one wireless lav right now, and this mic sounds better anyways. Okay. Thank you for the feedback. Would love to see more on the ins and outs of affinity process there, even just the tire lever fab. Devin, I think if you wait until, I would say April, but probably May or June, we can probably set something up for that.
We've been talking
there's
about
a change
that,
happening. There's a change happening with the carbon stuff it's what would you call that? A growth?
Growth. We're growing. Rapid expansion.
And we might have that back area for production again.
Next level.
So we'll see what goes on there. So anyways, you can move the camera, Antonio. You've been here the whole time. You didn't know.
Move the camera. Now you got to go back and play back and check it out.
Anyways, I guess we should end it here.
We got
Jason's got to get out of here. Thank you guys for hanging out today. Thanks for hearing our story. Again, I wish there was a vlog or something to tell that story, but we got to tell it live with you guys.
Yeah.
And be sure to check out some of the behind the scenes footage in the video dump whenever I have enough footage for that. But appreciate y'all. And like always, be well and ride safe. And we'll see you on the next one. Jason, you want anything to say?
I just want to thank Terry B again for doing that.
No, thank you, man.
And dealing with my crazy and our craziness. It was an epic day. And tune in. We're going to do more of these streams. And we appreciate you.
We'll see you on the next one. Peace. Y'all.
All right, I got to go.